I've stood here before you just about every week that I've been up here, which I think is every week since we started. And I always talk about improving as a team, everybody individually and collectively doing the things that you need to do to make yourself better so you can play to a standard, so you can be the best you can be at what you do. Sometimes that's very difficult to do, especially if you're satisfied with the success that you've had to that point. So it doesn't become about playing to a standard. It becomes about winning a game. And I know to fans, that's probably the only thing that is important. But to competitors and football players, and really players in any sport, it's always about aspiring to be the best that you can be, and focusing on the things that you need to do daily in terms of preparation, in terms of practice, in terms of how you take care of yourself, in terms of the intensity that you're ready to compete with when the game comes, which, we all have to be responsible for. So everybody has to be accountable to a standard. And, the question is what is everyone doing to impact the success? What is everybody doing to impact the standard individually and collectively? And that starts at the top with me, all the way down. And, we need to continue to work on getting better, playing with more maturity, being more consistent in what we do, which I think comes with maturity. Those two probably go hand in hand. But that's what our team needs to do. You make errors in critical times in the game, then you don't end up making the stops that you need to make or making the plays you need to make on offense to have a chance to be successful in the game. And, between third down, red area, 4th and 2, when we had chances to stop on defense, we never made the plays to do it. On offense, we moved the ball effectively most of the time in the game, but when we got in the red zone, we were unable to make the plays to come away with the kind of points that we could have. And that's really the difference in the game, and there's really nothing else to talk about. Players of the week, Julio had an outstanding game. Josh Chapman and Marcel Darius did a nice job up front on defense, and Wes Neighbors, Cade Foster, and Trent Richardson all did extremely well on special teams. Julio Jones hurt his hand in the game. Nobody really knew it was broken. He played the whole game. He did it in the first half, played the entire game with it. But when he was x-rayed, Saturday evening, Doc decided the best thing to do would be to plate it and screw it. So he did have a fractured hand that was surgically repaired. The prognosis for it is as soon as he can tolerate using his hand, which will be this part of his hand, probably the palm of his hand, he's cleared to play. So, that may be 3 or 4 days. It may be a week. I don't know. But on Wednesday, we'll probably assess where he is and, kind of go from there. He obviously played the whole game with it. So it may or may not be an issue, but it's really, we can't really tell right now. DJ Fluker has got a pretty severe growing injury that will probably keep him out at least a week, maybe longer, just depending on how he responds to treatment. Courtney Upshaw will, probably be slowed for a day or two, and Chris Jordan is still recovering from a hamstring. He really didn't play in the last game, but hopefully he'll be better this week, and that's probably the extent of, the injuries that we have right now. Anytime you play Ole Miss, it's a tough game. Anytime you play Houston Nutt coach team, it's a tough game. They bounced back with 2 quality wins, and as Mazzoli has gotten more comfortable with their offense, they've been very, very productive and one of the leading teams in the country in terms of scoring points, and in the last 2 weeks have put up 55 and 42 points. So this is a different kind of offense, a lot of option, a lot of reads, A lot of different formation variables, a lot of personnel groups. Defensively, they got 5 or 6 guys back, and I got 2 really good defensive tackles. And this is a team that has gotten better and really bounced back and playing better, right now. And we know from our experience in playing with them in the past, against them in the past, it's always a difficult preparation. And the key to it is going to be how we respond, how we prepare, how guys sort of respond to doing the things that they need to do to continue to improve, so that we give ourselves a better chance to be successful in the future. And consistency in performance is a big part of that.
Coach Saban, just following up on Julio's uncertain situation, could you comment on the other receivers, Hanks and Mays, and kind of where they are and if they're ready?
They did a great job in the game. I mean, I thought, we had some guys open. We couldn't get them the ball at times because of pressure. We missed a few, but I thought those guys did a really good job. Hanks had one he could have caught that he missed over the middle early in the game, but that may be a first for him for the entire season. So, those guys are playing extremely well. Some of the plays that Julio usually runs in the game, Mays ran and was very productive doing it. So we have confidence in our other guys. Earl Alexander is, healthy and playing fast and did a nice job in the game. So we're pleased with that entire group.
Coach, can you comment on how Michael Williams has done this year?
Michael Williams has played well for us all year. Certainly a challenge for him to replace a very good player, Colin Peak, that we had there last year. But he's a very good blocker. He's got great size. He's very athletic. He's got good hands. We probably haven't utilized him in the passing game a whole bunch, but he's very capable, and he's been a very consistent player for us. And Mike's got a great attitude, worked hard, and really done a nice job.
C.J. Mosley at weak side, when a decision for him to start, and where are you at weak side now?
Well, you guys say start, but what's start mean? He started a nickel in the Florida game. So does that make him a starter or not? I'm asking because he started in the Florida game, so there was no decision. He was already starting. So what's the question? We used 4 linebackers in the Florida game. We used 3 guys in the last game. So I guess which group runs out on the field first determines who starts. Is that how we do it? Or, we're playing a lot of different guys at linebacker. Chris Jordan would have played in the last game too. Mosley's been playing in nickel. Nico plays in regular. Chris Jordan was playing in dime rabbits when we put Dante down to rush, and then he got hurt in the Florida game, so CJ did that as his backup. So we've been kind of utilizing all these guys to their strengths, or trying to. So they're all starters in some regard, depending on who goes on the field first. Now, CJ ended up playing a lot more in this game, because of the circumstances in the game, but that's probably not how we'll move forward.
Do you know which play Julio got hurt in?
No. I mean, I think I do, but I didn't talk to him about it and ask him for sure. But I'm not sure. I'm going to talk to him in a minute. I'll find out.
Okay. And also, how has the team responded demeanor-wise? How have you seen anything from them?
I haven't seen them since after the game. They were a little upset after the game. We start our meetings today. Sunday's the players' days off. So I'll see them at 1:30 today. They might ask you after the meeting how'd Coach respond. What's his demeanor?
Coach, in 2003, the LSU team lost the game. How were they able to regroup after that and go on to win the national?
2003. What is it? Is it 2010 now?
Yeah.
You think I can remember this stuff 7 years ago? I mean, So Kristen was in, what, 6th grade? I don't remember her birthday party either then. But we've lost a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most people do. It's unusual to win every game that you play. And I think that there are reasons for it, and you learn from those things. And I think how our players learn, the lessons that they learn from what they have and have not done, we build on the things that they have done. We correct the things that they have not done. And it's not just about this game. Okay? It's not just about this game. This is a cumulative effect of what's happened all season in terms of choices that people make, in terms of what they do and how they do it, and how they improve what they do, and how they develop confidence in what they do. And we've got some young guys out there on defense that have been playing for 6 games now, and we quite frankly expect them to start maturing and play with confidence and not make mental errors and be able to make adjustments that we've practiced. And, that's our expectation. Maybe early in the season we knew that it would take time to develop, but we've had some time to develop, and people need to be accountable to the standard they need to play to. And that's the same thing for every position on our team. So, it all goes back to the psyche of your team. Is it what it needs to be? What happened last year doesn't mean nothing to what happens this year. Have we had the same psychological disposition on this team toward being successful as last year's team? But that's the question I'm going to ask.
Coach, if you could address the play of the offensive line against South Carolina, and looking forward, touch on the players with an opportunity at right tackle while DJ recovers.
McCullough will probably be the guy that went in. He was the guy that went in the game, and will be the guy that has been sort of our swing third tackle, and will move up as a starter. The offensive line did a good job in the game. We had sacks because we held on to the ball. And probably 5 of those sacks, we had ample time to throw the ball, and we tried to create plays. And I'm not being critical of Greg. He tried to create plays, by moving around and scrambling in the pocket, and eventually got sacked. 2 times we did not do things the way we needed to do them, and he got quick pressure and got sacked early. So, everybody could have done things better. We could have played better in the offensive line. We could have played better at every position on our team. And that's going to be the focus of what we try to do, is improve on the things that we weren't able to do effectively in the game.
Coach, you talk a lot about playing Alabama football and playing up to a standard and doing what you do no matter what the opponent does. Is there something that you'll be able to glean from practice this week to know that these guys are playing up to that standard, or is that something that you'll figure out in the game next week?
No, I think that it goes, who you are is who you are every day. How do you practice? How do you decide to do things? What choices do you make about how you do them? How important it is for you to do them the right way? And that all carries over into how you're going to play in the game on Saturday. So all these things are important. And, and everybody needs to focus and be accountable and responsible to do the things they need to do to improve. I've been saying this every week all year. This is not new. This is not new. This is not a new message. It just happens to be after we lost, everybody's willing to listen, because you all are just like everybody else, just like the fans. He just saying that because he's a coach. They're doing everything they're supposed to do. They won. That doesn't mean that you're doing what you're supposed to do. That doesn't mean you're playing the best you can play. That doesn't mean, what did I say last week? At this time of year, if you're not doing things right, you're going to get exposed. Well, we had some guys got exposed. Whether it's the left tackle, whether it's the right corner. So, what are you going to do about it? That's the question.
Coach, I know you talked that the players were upset after the game, and this is about choices the players make. Mark Ingram made an interesting comment that he he guessed that some of these players thought because they were Alabama they could roll in and they could just win the game. Was that Mark being frustrated, or do you have you had any sense of that at all?
Well, I can't speak for the players. I don't know what they think. But if players did think that way, and I'm sure other players would know more than I would about how players think and what they do, that's exactly everything that I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about. That the focus is not on what you need to do to be successful. It's drinking the Kool-Aid, thinking that just because they say it on ESPN, it's so. Reading the newspapers all week, just because you beat Florida 31-6, people start talking about you being the best team in the country. We're not the best team in the country. We're not the best team in the country. We had the best team in the country last year, and we proved it. We proved it over 14 games. All right, and this team hadn't proved shit. Excuse my language. That's how I feel about it. So I'm really upset that I used bad language. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'll get some letters on that, emails, and should.
Well, I'm going to keep it clean on my
Good.
question.
I appreciate it.
I know there's matchups and circumstances in game that kind of keep Trent and Mark from getting all the carries you want, but is that a priority, a concern to make sure that those guys are involved start to finish as to the better weapon?
Well, when a game goes like the game went and you get behind 21-3, what is the priority? Is it to get them guys their carries? Or is it to try to get back in the game? I'm asking a question now. When you get behind 21-3, are you trying to get back in the game, or are you trying to make sure Mark and Trent get their carries? Well, what's the priority? To me, it's to get back in the game. And sometimes the game determines that. And sometimes, like last year when we had all the yards against South Carolina rushing, it was because we were ahead in the game and we were taking the air out of it, and they couldn't stop us running the ball. So somebody gained 200 and some yards. Different circumstances in the game. All right, so we have a game plan to utilize all of our players. We have lots of good players. I think we have 3 really good receivers. I think we have 2 really good runners. And I think we have to utilize all those things and take what the defense gives us. And if they're going to have them up there and we need to throw the ball, we have to do that. All right, so it's not about, okay, this guy's going to carry the ball this many times and this guy's going to carry the ball that many times, no matter what. That's hard to do. And we want those guys to make a lot of plays, whether they're catching the ball, whether they're running the ball. And they have to do their share so that other players have a chance to be successful when it comes to blocking and being a complete player at their position.
Coach, it's easy to follow that rule. You win 24 hours and then you forget it. Is it much more difficult to follow that rule coming off of a loss?
Well, I would hope that it isn't. But we have to move on. It's over and done with. There's nothing we can do to get it back. Whatever the players didn't bring is gone forever. So we have to learn from it. It's a great lesson to learn from. And I think that's what we're focused on moving forward. Our attention needs to be on Ole Miss and what we can learn from the experiences that we had so that we can improve and get better. No more, no less. If you're a good competitor, it doesn't just go away.
I'll ask you about DeMarcus Milliner's play and what he has to do to get better.
Well, I think that, all the young players that we have on defense need to play with more toughness, more aggressiveness, more competitive spirit, more confidence, and it's about maturing, as a player and being able to overcome adversity in the game, If something bad happens, being able to make adjustments and not be affected by the circumstances around you. I think it would be unfair to say that one player has to do that. I think we have a number of players on defense that need to do that. And I think that when you get everybody doing that, it develops sort of a chemistry and a continuity that everybody believes in everybody else and trust, and that helps everybody play better because everybody trusts that everybody's going to do their job. And I think we need more responsibility and accountability to that, on the defense, because of a lot of the young players that we have need to show maturity.